Welcome to the Wareham Conservation Commission Wednesday, August 1st, 2018 minutes meeting. Mary, give a roll call, please.
Elisa Hurd, Mary Taggart, Joe Leggett, Chair Sandy Slavin, Agent David Pichette, John Smith, Roy Lesson.
Thank you. Be aware that we are being recorded, and it will be on WCTV. Is there anybody taking pictures or recording this meeting? Please say so. Thank you. We have some continued hearings. Frank O'Brien has asked for a continuance until the 8:15 meeting. I have a motion to continue to 8:15 by Joe.
Second.
Second by Mary. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. We have a request for continuance by John Vinenek for the 8:15 meeting. I have a motion to have it on, continued until 8:15.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I should have asked, is there anybody here for either of those two hearings? Okay. We have a continuous, request for a continuance by Charles A. Grace.
So
And
move
t-
it. We can't do those yet until...
Oh, we can't because it's not 15 yet, sorry. We have a certification of compliance for Noah and Bryant, 179 Sandwich Road. Mr. Pichette?
This project was for a septic upgrade at 179 Sandwich Road. The project has been completed according to the order of conditions, so I would recommend the issuance of the certificate of compliance for this project.
Motion to issue?
I have Joe's approval to issue.
Second.
Second by Mary Beach. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Abstain? Opposed? So this is done.
Meeting minutes?
Yep. Good. Here, let me pass that around, please. We have minutes from May 2nd, 2018.
If there's,
Rob, you were not here at that time, but everybody else was. Went out electronic. Did everybody have a chance to review it?
Yep.
yes. If
Any comments?
nobody has any edits to it, I move to approve the meeting minutes.
Second. I heard Joe motion, Jim second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained? Six zero zero. Thank you. I will take a minute and sign those.
Right? Go might get ice cream.
Jim,
Jim?
Okay.
for next time.
Yeah.
First.
What can we do for 5 minutes? Any discussions
Wait
for,
5 minutes, yeah.
any bills for us to pay?
No.
So I am going to end up with 5 minutes of dead air time.
Yep.
Expanded and they expand too close to the bottom.
Yeah.
Eight, 10 feet. And then add,
More here, 18 feet.
no, this is height, this is just 18
Yeah.
feet
Sort
from,
of line.
from
Maybe in a group.
No, he's got a doctor's appointment and that will be running late, so he won't make it.
Yeah.
100 feet.
Just in grays.
I think so.
More than 100 feet, so they don't
Oh, okay.
It's nice when we get a lot of cancellations like that.
Existing foundation, existing house.
It did.
Could have waited another 5 minutes. I didn't think it would be that quick.
So we don't really have anything
No.
to talk about,
Mm-mm.
right?
Mm-mm.
Is that
That's
all?
okay.
So the porch is away from the river?
Trying to think if there's anything else to,
I heard you had terraces or
Uh,
something.
Here it's showing it here.
might be good. Not that,
See how it's existing now?
that's any issue, but yeah.
And they're changing it there.
No. I think they just were hanging out down there.
Okay, so where the, I guess the thing would be where are these steps going to be?
It's a great idea.
Yeah, there, the steps aren't drawn, but he... Yeah,
Does this drive like this is a main way to go.
he does sometimes, yes.
Nobody else wants to do anything.
You, seen or looked
She wouldn't do that.
at this project?
Was she picking on you?
It's such a crop. The river's running back.
Oh.
I was coming out, she was coming out Street.
She's trying to get your attention. She says you never waved to her.
So,
Replace them with deck, oh, they're gonna replace this
yeah,
platform and
so,
steps
right,
with a
here
deck.
we are, because here's the river, and here we are, and this is on the other side of the river, or does the river come off this way? No.
We are in a time right now where part of the country is
Yeah,
advocating.
Yeah, because this is
way.
marsh.
This is marshland.
Yeah.
Right. So the question is, 18 feet from the marshland,
Sweet Fern,
Arnold Street, what?
they could have, we could always, request that we sub something out too, I mean, it's not really, so, we just say we'd like to see it.
It's hard to make it resistant.
18 feet from the,
Just to get them to understand.
The end of the river,
so
right?
this, there is back here. And this is grandfather for 3,000. That's it.
3,000. I was, yeah.
44 feet reserve.
30 seconds.
You see,
In sea
they're
level.
putting in a new septic too.
Must be, because this is the existing cesspool. And they're gonna be a septic system.
Septic system, is it within 10 feet of the marshland?
Looks like it could be.
Sure does.
Yeah, from what I've seen now, they generally
Okay, we've reached the 7:15 time slot. Alyssa, will you read the first hearing, please?
Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held in Room 320, Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. On Wednesday, August 1st, 2018, at 7:15 p.m. on the request for determination of applicability for Robin Mitchell, care of Innovation Construction Company, Inc., P.O. Box 815, West Wareham, Mass. 02576, to remove existing platform and steps and replace with a deck and steps for property located on Assessor's Map 78-1, Lot 188, 40 Arnold Street, West Wareham, Mass.
Thank you. Is there anybody here for this hearing? Please come forward.
Good evening.
Thank you, and identify yourself, please.
Keith Demetric, Innovation Construction. Robin and Carl Mitchell.
Just need the abutter card.
Now, do we have any green abutter cards? Do you have the green?
I sure do.
May we have them, please?
Yes.
Mr. Burchett will read his statement, and then you'll have a chance to
Thank you.
have your say, okay? Thank you.
Okay, so this project site is at 40 Arnold Street in the Rose Point area, and the project involves the construction of a deck in the buffer zone to a coastal bank, coastal beach, and within riverfront area of the Weewianick River. A 6 by 22-foot deck is proposed to replace the existing 5 by 5-foot landing, and this would be approximately 65 feet from the coastal beach along the Weewianick River. 3 sonotube footings would be installed to support the deck, and the deck would be between the house and the street. All of the work is to be done by hand with no proposed grade changes, so I would recommend the approval of the project with a negative determination number 2.
This isn't all one when we did these.
Keith, is there anything you'd like to add?
I agree with David. No, it's a very simple project, and yes, it's all going to be done by hand.
Rob, anything?
Nope, no questions.
Jim?
No, thank you.
Alyssa?
None.
Mary?
No question.
Joe?
No questions?
Anybody in the audience would like to speak for or against this project? Seeing none,
Motion to close?
I have a motion to close the hearing.
Second?
I have a second by Alyssa. All in favor? Opposed, abstained?
Make a motion to grant with a -2 determination?
I have a motion to grant with a -2.
Second.
I have a second by Mary. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained? We're done. Before you do any work, will you please get for your paperwork?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You already got a copy of this?
Yes, I do.
Mary?
Sneak by me?
Yes, you did.
Oh.
You ready, Sandy?
Yes, please.
Notice of public hearing. Pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6, a public hearing will be held in Room 320, Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass., on Wednesday, August 1st, 2018, at 7:15 p.m. on the request for determination of applicability for Karen Coffey, 2 Oak Hill Road, Wareham, Mass., to repair driveway by scraping and adding crushed stone for property located on Assessor's Map 39, Lot T4, 2 Oak Hill Road, Wareham, Mass.
Anybody for this project like to come up and speak to it, please? And can we have your green cards before you become comfortable?
Thank you.
And please identify yourself for the record.
Karen Coffey.
Ed Coffey.
Mr. Bichette?
So this project site is at 2 Oak Hill Road, and the project involves the placement of fill within a coastal flood zone. The applicant is proposing to remove approximately a 5-inch layer of soil from the existing dirt driveway and replace it with crushed stone. The applicant is also proposing to place approximately 15 yards of fill in a part of an existing depression in the yard to help support an existing retaining wall, and this is within flood zone AE 14. The work is not in the buffer zone to any other resource areas, so I would recommend the approval of the project with a negative determination number 2.
In a resource area.
Thank you. Would you like to add anything?
I think so.
That's it.
Rob?
I'm all set, thank you.
I'm good.
Alyssa?
None.
Mary?
No question.
Joe?
I did go visit that site. I'm just concerned because you're in a low area, and the problem, I guess, you're collecting all the water coming down the hill.
I'm sorry?
We don't have, the only puddle by us is by the fire hydrant towards
Yeah.
the street.
All right, 'cause
And
I
that
just-
area is not going to be touched.
Oh, okay. All right, no other questions?
You have no problem with water getting into your garage?
Nothing.
No.
So you're
If-
talking about that low area just in front of the mailboxes?
Yes.
Yeah, we're not touching that. We're going where the because our house where it comes out of the garage kind of starts to go down like this. That's the area we're touching, not the part by the mailboxes or the fire hydrant.
Okay. That answers my question.
But you want to fill what's behind you?
Behind the second little
There's a-
garage house.
There's a-
Yes,
yeah,
Um,
it's
on the
behind
other
it.
side of the mobile home that was
Yes,
there. the
yep.
Whatever. So, but that's a big depression.
Yes, so we only want to go about 20 feet out where that house is. They used to have the boards, they were all rotted.
Yes,
We
There's a
wanna
wood
pull them
retaining
out.
wall there.
yes, I
I
saw
just want to
that.
bring some soil in to try to shore it up, make sure it doesn't erode, because it's only 3 feet off the back end of that shed.
So you're not trying to fill in the hole, the complete hole?
No. Just
Just
try to
enough
bring it
to-
up to that level, which is well below anywhere else on the property.
Because the only thing I saw in that was some wood debris from the retaining wall and some leaves and stuff. So
Right.
it wasn't as if it was collecting trash.
No, there's trash all under, from the previous owner, just under all the leaves and everything.
Okay. Is there, anybody who wants to speak for this project? Is there anyone who speak against this project? Please come up and identify yourself when you're at the table, please, and speak into the microphone so you can be heard, Mr. Nolan.
Yes, thank you. I'm Jack Nolan. I'm the neighbor at the foot of Oak Hill Road. And the former owners, the coffees are new in Wareham, and the former owner was a widow, living alone, with one car. And now the coffees have, they have a couple of motorcycles, a couple of pickup trucks, and a car, and a utility trailer. And my understanding is that the coffees are just looking for a place to park their cars. And but right now, it gets muddy because they have to park cars on the grass. And I think it's a very reasonable thing, and therefore I'm fully in favor of the project.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? I'm seeing no one.
Make a motion to close the hearing?
Second?
I have a motion from Joe, I have a second from, I heard Jim. Left ear this time, right ear. All in favor of closing?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, hearing is closed.
Make a determination, agree with a -2 determination?
Joe's motion for a -2.
Second?
Second, Mary. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. Before you do any work, see Mr. Pichette, and welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you so
very
much,
much.
appreciate it. Thank you, Phil.
So,
Cleve Olson.
Charles Grace.
Cleve
here.
Olson.
That's
That was
continued.
continued.
We have to
Oh,
read
yeah.
it.
Pardon?
We'll read it.
You want me to read it? Okay.
Yes.
Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held in Room 320, Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Massachusetts, on Wednesday, August 1st, 2018, at 7:15 p.m. on the amended order of condition for Charles A. Grace, care of Outback Engineering, Inc., 165 East Grove Street, Middleborough, Mass. 02346. To amend an order of conditions for property located on Assessor's Map 46A2, lots 174 and 1000, 6 C Street, Wareham, Massachusetts.
Thank you. The applicant has asked that this be continued until 8:15. Is there anybody in the audience that came to speak to or for this particular project? I'm seeing none. I'll take a motion to continue until
So moved.
8:15. I have a motion to continue until 8:15.
Second?
Second by Mary. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained. We'll continue it until the 15th. Next, please.
Notice of public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held in Room 320, Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Massachusetts, on Wednesday, August 1st, 2018, at 7:15 p.m. on the amended order of conditions for Clive Olson, care of Lockwood Architects, P.O. Box 95, Onset, Mass. 02558. To amend an order of conditions for property located on Assessor's Map 3, lots M1, 244, 245A, and 245B on Maple Street, Onset, Mass.
Thank you. Please identify yourself for the records.
Good evening, Bill Lockwood, Lockwood Architects, and with me is Clive Olson, the owner.
Thank you, Mr. Bichette.
The project site is at 35 Maple Street, and the project involves amending an order of conditions to include a revised plan for the project. The approved project involved tearing down an existing dwelling and garage and constructing a new dwelling, garage, and in-ground pool. And this is in the buffer zone to a coastal bank and within a flood zone at this site. The site is within flood zone AE elevation 14. The approved project is currently under construction. As the project was going forward, it was determined that there was an error in the grades that were shown on the original site plan that we reviewed and approved. The result is that proposed grade changes need to be made to the site plan to accommodate the proposed construction. Also, there are 2 sections of retaining walls that need to be constructed or reconstructed, which are shown on the revised plan as well. The locations of the proposed structures are the same as originally permitted. The proposed grade changes and the reconstructed sections of retaining walls are not significant relative to the overall project, so I would recommend the issuance of the amended order for the project with the same conditions that we issued for the original order of conditions, but referencing the new revised plan.
Rob, any questions?
No.
Jim?
No, thank you.
Lissa?
None.
Mary?
No question.
Joe?
No questions?
Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak to this project, for or against? Seeing none,
Motion to close the
I
hearing?
have a motion to close the hearing, but I have a second by Jim. All in favor? Opposed, abstained? Hearing is closed.
Make a motion to grant the amended order of conditions?
I have a motion to accept the change to the order of conditions.
Second?
A second by Mr. Lesson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained?
Thank you all.
Yes, please see Mr. Bichette before you start grading.
Okay. Dave, we're gonna grade.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well, the work.
The waiting. Thanks.
That's quite a pool you got there.
Skinny.
Long and skinny. I guess it's a lap pool?
Yes.
Notice of public hearing. Pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6, a public hearing will be held in Room 320, Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, Mass. On Wednesday, August 1st, 2018, at 7:15 p.m. on the notice of intent for Edward Ryan, care of J.C. Engineering, Inc., 2854 Cranberry Highway, East Wareham, 02538, to abandon an existing water main and install a new water main for property located on Assessor's Map, lots 11, IA1, IA1, 12 through 16, and IA Bakers Island Road, Onset, Mass.
Thank you. The applicant has asked for an extension on this until 8:15. Is there anybody here for this particular project?
She didn't sign it.
I'm seeing none. A motion to continue into the 15th? Someone make that motion? I need someone to make the motion.
Motion to
I have a
continue.
motion. I need a second.
Second.
I have a second. Jim, all in favor?
Aye.
Now, Joe and I took an opportunity to go down to see it. We went down, all the way down Squaw Island Road. Is that the name of the road? And we bumped into utility company clearing trees. Well, we Squaw's Path. Well, we turned around, we came back the other way. Bumped into another utility company cleaning trees, so we never made it down to the site. We gave it a shot on both ends, so
Wasn't meant to be.
it wasn't meant to be for that trip. All right, next one, please.
Notice the public hearing pursuant to the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act, General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Wareham Wetland Protective Bylaw, Division 6. A public hearing will be held in room 320, Wareham Multi-Service Center, 48 Marion Road, Wareham, on Wednesday, October 1st, 2018, at 7:15 p.m. on the notice of intent for Buzzards Bay Coalition, Inc., care of GAF Engineering, Inc., 66 Main Street, Wareham, Mass. 02571, for the reconstruction and expansion of the Onset Bathhouse for property located on Assessor's Map 1, Lot 1048, at 0 West Boulevard, Onset, Mass.
Please come forward and identify yourselves for the records.
Mark Rasmussen, President, Buzzards Bay Coalition.
I'm Bill Madden from GAF Engineering.
Thank you. Do we have green cards?
I do.
Thank you.
Bill, you don't have to have smaller print. Awesome.
Don't bother to open that. He's got small ones for us.
He's got the small one.
Oh, he does?
Yeah,
Oh, good.
fold it up.
Wow.
Once.
These are revised plans dated today. There's some very minor revisions that
The
I'll
ramp,
discuss.
concrete ramp, the ramp.
That being one.
Okay, thank you.
You want this?
Joe and I will share.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll share.
Let's share
Actually,
here.
if you get an extra one,
We're
Bill,
good.
I'll take it.
You want one?
Thanks.
Mr. Madden, Joe would like one of his own.
If you got an extra one. Thank you, sir.
Okay,
And I also have some elevations just from give a
pretty.
perspective of elevations on this.
Up and back.
1,780 for blueberry bushes. He's gonna take every blueberry bush in the state of Massachusetts. Okay, thank you. Mr. Bichette was going to report on the project.
Sharp looking.
They add
So the project site is at the Onset Bathhouse in Onset, and the project involves the demolition of the existing Onset Bathhouse structure and the construction of a new Onset Bay Center building in the same general area as the existing structure, which is along a coastal bank, a coastal beach, and within a coastal flood zone, which is a velocity flood zone VE elevation 22. The existing Onset Bathhouse building, which is approximately 26 by 174 feet, is to be demolished and removed from the site. Demolition material would be loaded into dumpsters and hauled off for disposal. Construction vehicles and equipment for the project would access the site through the town pier parking lot. An excavator would access the site from the corner of the town pier parking lot over the existing concrete walkway area. The proposed building would be approximately 30 by 180 feet in the same general area. There is a portion of the proposed building which will occupy approximately 400 square feet of currently unaltered coastal bank area. The existing concrete wall along Onset Beach would remain in place as is, And the concrete slab behind that existing retaining wall would be cut into where needed to install the new footings and foundation piers for the new structure. The wall along the back or landward side of the existing structure would remain in place and be used as part of the foundation for the new building. The new structure would have 2 levels, with the lower level to be used for storage and the second level to be used for office space and educational purposes. New water and sewer lines would be installed for the new building. Stormwater structures are proposed to handle roof runoff from the new building, with an overflow to be tied into the existing catch basin at the corner of the pier parking lot. During the on-site, it was unclear where this catch basin drains to, so this, in my opinion, needs to be determined. Also proposed as part of the project is to replant the coastal bank in the area of the building with native vegetation. This would involve the removal of the existing vegetation and replanting the bank according to the submitted planting scheme. Erosion control blankets would be installed on the slope to stabilize the disturbed soils. And also, I think hay bales need to be installed along the base of the slope at the edge of the retaining wall. At this point, I have not received a DEP number for this project, so I would recommend a continuance of the hearing to our next meeting, which is August 15th.
Thank you. Would you like to speak to this, please?
We would, and I will briefly and then hand it over to Bill for the presentation on the project. But first, just to say thank you. It's exciting for us to be here. I want to just give 5 seconds of context for this project that's in front of you. I think of all boards in Wareham, you've seen this thing develop from the ground up through the acquisition of Wickets Island to the work that we've been doing at Burgess Point, the plans we have for Wickets, which have been through you. All of that work has been preparing for our launch of on-the-water exploration programs in Onset, the Onset Bay Center. And this structure here becomes the launching pad, the platform, the clubhouse, if you will, for delivery of all those programs. So sailing, kayaking, paddling, coastal ecology, aquaculture. We're very excited about having the bathhouse revived, rebuilt, and becoming the entry point to the waters and lands of Onset Bay. So Dave did a great job summarizing the project. Bill will tell you a little bit more about the particulars, but thank you for the time tonight, and I'll turn it over to Bill.
Thank you, Mark. Yes, Mr.
Okay,
Madden, you're up.
I'll just outline a few of the things that the project does entail. Dave did a good job of summarizing it. I just think that just for the benefit of the commission, I would like to just point out a couple of things with the wetland resource areas. It is those are the 10 hearing, and we have 3 resource areas that we're dealing with on the site. The 3 resource areas are the coastal beach, which is the beach that's in front of the bathhouse in here. And the alteration that was originally proposed as part of the notice of intent was to install a small boat ramp. Well, we called it boat ramp, but it's just a small little ramp to come out of the storage area on the first level with kayaks, sailing, small sailing craft, whatever the training mechanism might be, and to access the beach. We had shown originally about an 86 square foot alteration of the beach. We've scaled that back to 16 square feet at this point, and what we're doing is if you recall, there's a sewage pump station that's confined with a chain link fence smack dab in the middle of the building on the beach itself. So we'll be removing that pump station, the complete structure. We'll be plugging the pipes with concrete on each end. We'll be backfilling that beach, that excavation with beach material and excavated material that'll come from the site itself. And we're going to go for a little better than a one-to-one replacement on that. So we're going to alter 16 feet by putting a smaller, 16 square feet by putting a small 2-foot by 8-foot wide ramp on the beach and removing that pump station. There's also a couple of sanitary manholes that are in the walkway that are on the front of the bathhouse as well. We're going to remove both of those structures in a similar manner, plug the piping that's there. So so we'll have all sanitary sewer will be removed from the beach area. We think that's a big enhancement. It eliminates the potential for any infiltration or inflow of storm water from entering into the sanitary system of the town and creating any havoc that it might create with pumping stations and treatment. So we think that that's a good feature, and that's the feature that we're providing on the coastal beach. The second thing that we have is a coastal bank alteration, where we are removing some retaining walls that are existing in the back. We're replacing them with new walls. The predominant reason that's occurring is due to the nature of providing ADA accessibility to the building. So in order to come from the parking lot up to the main entrance of the building, which is over here, a ramp that's accessible by wheelchair needs to be installed. So it needs to be a little bit wider. That necessitated the removal of that upper retaining wall to meet that ADA width requirement and the slope requirement. So there's an alteration of the bank that includes that. We're also having the main stairs down into the building that is just a continuation of the access on Bayview Park to the building. So there'll be a pretty nice entryway into the building that'll be on the coastal bank as well. The 400 square feet that Dave was talking about is this little projection here on the side of the building. That's essentially will be a slab on grade. The coastal bank will come down. It'll butt up against the existing foundation, the new foundation rather, of that portion of the building, and that will be the piece that will be into the bank. It's not as significant as one might think. And this plan that I shared with you, I think I gave you a copy of that, kind of details to scale what will happen with that coastal bank. And this area here, this flat wall, is a portion of that projection that sticks into the coastal bank. So you can see the bank will come down. It won't be up against the roof line of it. It'll be pretty much down to the top of the foundation wall, a couple of feet below the foundation wall. Unique feature on that portion of the building is that it will have a green roof. So as part of our stormwater calculations, we were able to exclude that 400 or 500 square feet from that because the roof runoff will be used to irrigate vegetation that'll be growing on that green roof. So that's the projection that'll occur into the coastal bank.
Yeah, right there, yeah.
Moving to the west, we continue on with the same scheme. We're going to extend the existing building in its current width. There are two retaining walls and a sidewalk that are on the back side of the building. They extend almost to this walkway as well. One of those walls is to be removed. The one closest to the beach on that concrete pad might not have even recognized there's a concrete pad there because the wind-blown sand that accumulates there over time kind of hid it from view. In a similar manner, the sidewalk that was behind the building was hidden from view with sand and debris that's collected there over the years. So what we're intending to do there is remove the back retaining wall that kind of envelopes that sidewalk and retain the front retaining wall and regrade the coastal bank down to the top of that wall. There's 380 linear feet of coastal bank alteration or impact rather on the project. I guess it would be considered alteration as we are changing it, but we believe we're enhancing the overall condition of that bank. It'll now be at a uniform slope, approximately 3-to-1. All the invasive species that are currently growing over there and have taken over that will be stripped out and removed. New soil put in place. The plant material per the landscape architect plans, which were submitted in the plan set, will be installed throughout that whole area, and I think it'll give you know, pretty nice visual effect from the front of the building while providing these coastal bank stabilization that we needed for the long term, as well as some additional wildlife habitat that probably doesn't exist there today. So those are the things that we're proposing to do on the coastal bank. The last area that we're dealing with pursuant to the Wetlands Act will be the land subject to coastal storm flowage. As you know, it is in a velocity zone. It's a VE22 special flood hazard area. With respect to that, we're required to elevate the building to a specific height. What we're doing is we're going to the Board of Building Code Appeals seeking a variance from the height requirement that would be required for us to build the building under the building code. As you know, when you folks issue the orders of conditions, you typically state in the order that all work is to comply with the Mass State Building Code and FEMA regulations. And we're unable to achieve that requirement until we receive the waiver from the State Building Code Appeals Board. And that's what we're in the process of doing now, is dealing with the building department and having our letters from them to support our case going forward with the state. So that's where we are with land subject to coastal storm flowage. The foundation's been designed by a structural engineering company that specializes in coastal floodplain construction. It's a pretty substantial design. I gave to you as part of the plan set 2 of the plans that I thought were pretty important to see. One of them that David was concerned with is the big foundation wall that basically extends across the whole rear of the building. It's constructed in a different manner. It's a buttress type facility, so we have a straight vertical retaining wall that's flat on the outside facing the coastal bank, but it has walls on the inside that buttress or support that bank from pushing the wall over. So now the structural engineers have kind of designed it in a manner that they sandwich that wall, add a lot of reinforcing to it, micro pile or screw, helical screw anchors, or piles rather, that are going to insert into the ground. That'll be the supporting support of the building overall, and that will provide the necessary structural balance to the site to prevent any degradation or stability failure of the coastal bank. So all the loads that the building will transmit will be transmitted vertically down and will not require us to, will not end up in an alteration of the bank. And that's, I think, one of the key things on a vertical buffer coastal bank, is that we can't jeopardize the stability of that bank for a storm prevention matter. So we think we've pretty much covered most of those bases with the 3 resource areas: bank, beach, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. With respect to the utilities that are coming into the site, we're showing a new 6-inch or 8-inch water line kind of from across Onset Ave. We dealt with the Onset Water Department. They're on board with that. We're able to bring one 8-inch water line across the site. We're also going to be placing that in the altered area of the coastal bank. We're able to separate that when we enter into the building to 2 lines, one for domestic water purposes, the other portion of that line for fire protection. The building is required to have fire protection. In a similar manner, the sanitary sewer will come down at the rear of the building. We have a small sanitary manhole over here. We're going to drop down, change in elevation maybe 4 feet or so. We're going to tie into the existing sanitary sewer, which is located over here in the middle of the Onset Pier. So we'll be saw cutting, trenching, excavating, placing that sewer line in a similar manner to the water line over to the existing sanitary manhole. I've talked to Guy Campina about that, and Guy is on board with that, particularly since we're removing the existing connections from the front of the building. So we've eliminated a pump system, and we've gone to a pretty maintenance-free gravity system. David also brought up the stormwater management. As part of this project, it's also considered redevelopment. The requirements for stormwater management are improvements over existing conditions. We don't have a standard to meet. What we did do is the existing roof has a ridge essentially down the center. There are no gutters on the front of the building, so roof runoff will drain from the front of the building onto the concrete pad that runs across the face of the building, drain onto the beach. On the back side, there's a linear trench drain on that walkway that I talked about previously. We're going to capture roof runoff, tie it directly into that. Roof runoff that falls on the walkway will drain into that trench drain, come down, enter into infiltration units that we have a very small green space that we're planning on infiltrating the first 1 inch of roof runoff from that area. We felt that if we were treating the first 1 inch, that we would be improving existing conditions. It's a critical area, I think. We look at what the standards are for stormwater, so we wanted to at least get some of that stormwater into an infiltration basin. So we have an infiltration basin as part of an overflow, not having any. We didn't want it boiling out of the ground. We thought our only solution would be to tie it into that existing catch basin that's into the that's to the east on the site. So what our thoughts were there is we go to our infiltration basin or trenches that are about 40% larger than they need to be, and that if we exceed that volume, that water would then overflow into that catch basin at that point. And we meet the stormwater standards there by improving existing conditions, because as it stands today, there is no drainage system on that site. So I think we meet the standards for stormwater management through this particular design. That's pretty much the thumbnail sketch of the wetland issues on the site. Any questions I'd be happy to answer?
No, not at the moment.
No, since I look at the top of the bathhouse now out my kitchen window, I'm gonna have a little less view, but I think it's great.
Bird?
Yes. How big is this green roof that you're doing? How much of the roof are you doing in a green roof?
How many square feet?
Well, just show me where does it go, basically.
The green roof will effectively be over this rectangular area, that small portion of the...
Very small.
It's about 400, a little better than 400 square feet, but it's the only flat roof that we have on the site, so, it's one of those things that we're able to do it there.
Thank you.
Mary?
Now, after you take the invasive plants out, you said you were going to put a new planting area in that same area?
The landscaping plan?
Yeah.
Yes. LP1, which is included in your plan set, indicates the planting scheme for the site. So, I don't know, there's roughly 8,000 square feet of newly planted area. The plant list, the size of the plants, the quantity of each are listed at the top of the page, and the details on how each one of those are to be installed are shown per the details. So you can see that it's a pretty enhanced, very enhanced plan, and I think that is a great improvement over what is currently there.
Thank you.
Joe, any questions?
I have none.
All right, you ready for me?
Sure.
The 4,000 square foot green roof, what do you plan to put on there for plants?
Onto that. Yeah.
Moss?
It's a sedum mix?
Sedum?
Sedum, yep. We have the same roof on our building in New Bedford, and it's been a great success.
Now, on the west side of the building, you mentioned there was sand over a concrete pad, and would that sand be removed in that concrete? Or is it was it worth it because it would just blow and cover it again?
I think that the sand will come and go as time goes on. It'll be a maintenance thing.
The invasive plant removal, are you just going to remove all the soil? I mean, how are you going to get the bittersweet out of their little,
I think it has to be stripped out, soil and root system. I mean, that's the effective.
annually?
I'm thinking that they may be able to do it with a very small piece of equipment, but I think a lot of hand labor is going to be involved just by nature of the slope.
Because those suckers are hard to remove and keep them removed because they like to come back. Do you expect to have a waiver from the Building Code of Appeals? What's your feeling on it?
My feeling is, what I did is I did some research on their past cases, so I just went through them first of all, I checked for all the waivers that they granted with building construction in the AE in special flood hazard zones, and I saw that they were pretty generous in the granting of those waivers, and I think that we have a very good shot at it, particularly since the building is designed in the manner that it's designed.
Your plantings, 2,700 low blueberry bushes.
Yes.
And they grow as much as, what, 3 to 4 feet tall?
I think
Well, I think
slightly less, but yeah, that's our
you're going to
lowest
have them
base.
packed in there so tightly, they're going to, just think of all those blueberries for all those skunks. They're going to be very happy.
We don't want to be weeding, we want to really have it be a full ground
I
cover.
figured
So,
you,
yeah.
planting so closely together, you were looking to reduce the amount of weeds that would have to be taken care of. Now, if I look at the plant material, the only thing that is not deciduous is the inkberry. So it's going to be, that's the only color you're going to have all winter long is the inkberry. Everything else is going to be, did you purposely choose so much deciduous plants?
No, but the inkberry was chosen specifically to be at the entrance. You see it
Yes, yep,
flanks the
yep.
entrance stair. So this is going to be a year-round facility, so we actually wanted to keep that dressed throughout
Okay.
the year. So I think that was probably what her thought was behind that.
But I just couldn't believe the volume of plants. You know, I figure you're gonna take every low blueberry bush in the state in order to do this planting. Yes, no, I like the idea of the erosion control fabric and the plants being planted between them, you know, slitting down to plant them. But I am concerned that the issue of removing the soil to get rid of the invasives, please make sure erosion control is all put in place on it. Now, anything else on the board? Yes?
You know, speaking of the plants, such as the blueberry and everything, are you planning that this is going to be part of your activities with this group, picking blueberries, eating blueberries, or whatever, if you have a really good crop?
We hadn't planned on it. They're designed to create just a native coastal landscape, but
Right, but you
when we-
have a lot of children, I mean,
can.
who wouldn't?
Because when we lead some native edibles walks in other properties around, and they fill up, so people love these things, so maybe.
And so my question would be, are you going to make some sort of pathway for them to do it, or else are they going to come in and sort of just ruin your plants?
Well, as you come down the ADA access ramp there on the sidewalk, all of that section of the slope is the low bush blueberry. It's right there, so when you're walking down, it's all going to be right here accessible.
Right there
right
for
from the
those
sidewalk.
kids.
Yeah.
You know, and they'll climb right up that wall.
Yeah.
Or climb down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, and I noticed here, chokeberry was also close to availability if anybody wants to taste that little soured sucker.
Each plum.
I'm going to open it up to public hearing. I want to just be clear that we're here only for Conservation Commission issues, only things that we can cover from this particular board, and if it goes off topic, I will stop the discussion. So I'd like to have anybody who wants to speak for this project, I'd come up and identify yourself now, please. Anybody for the project? Okay, anybody against the project? Please come up and identify yourself.
Hello, Lisa Morales from Onset. Are we allowed to ask questions or only speak against or for?
You can ask questions. This is your time.
Thank you. One of the questions that we have is the watering of the 2,700 plants. Is this going to be the responsibility of the leaseholder, or is this going to be left to natural rainfall, or is this going to be drinking water from onset water that waters the 2,700
question.
plants?
What are the plans to keep these suckers watered?
So a lot of intensive watering in the beginning to get plants established, and that's going to be the responsibility of the landscape contractor. But beyond that, once they're established first couple seasons, the watering will all be on us. We've specifically chosen native coastal landscape plants that should be tough in this environment, but we need to keep this bank full of ground cover, and so if we need to water to keep our plants alive, we will be doing the watering, not the town of Wareham.
The question is, the source of the water, would it be provided by the contractor, or will it be pulled from your water taps?
Assume it'd be from our well.
It'll be from the water
Or source.
supply.
Yeah.
Okay. And the onset water department knows there might be a draw on to do the watering. Can you just let them know that you're planning to water your plants using the onset water?
Yes.
Is that your question?
It is
thank
the
you.
question.
Yes,
Just for clarification, the town of Wareham provides no water to that area. We would object to the removal of the root system. There spoke of the invasive plants, but there are non-invasive plants there too that have their roots holding that bank in. So what I'm hearing is that the non-invasive native species are being completely cleared, as well as the invasive species. Can you clarify that?
Everything's coming out. In order to get the roots of the non-invasives, you have to hurt some normal natives in order to clear it. I mean, you're going to take everything out regardless of the type of plant it is, and
Yes.
that has to be done because of there's so much invasives in there. There's no easy way to pick and choose one root system over another. Is that in?
Yes, that's correct.
So the excavator will come in and completely clear cut the
However,
bank?
clear
I
cut?
don't necessarily think it will be an excavator doing the work. I think it'll be it'll be a landscape contractor who specializes in coastal plantings that will be doing that work. So, we will specify to him what
Be as careful as possible.
exactly.
Another question we had was that I believe there is a 50-foot no-disturb zone, and are they asking for a variance from this committee for the 50-foot no-disturbance zone?
You want to answer
We-
that one?
They did include that in their request, and so in the town bylaw, there is an exemption for a waiver, if you want to say that, to the 50-foot no-activity zone for projects that are for public enhancement and things of that nature. So that is something the commission has the ability to grant if they believe that that fits the bill for that exemption.
I didn't hear any discussion on that this evening, so that's why I'm raising the issue. There was no questions about that, and we would certainly object to there being a waiver of that 50-foot zone. We would also ask that there be no permanent installation of a ramp of any size, that it be a removable ramp so that the natural flow of movement of the sand during winter, during storms with wind, be allowed to happen on the beach as it is now, that it be some sort of a removable wooden ramp that can be stored for the winter season so that that normal coastal movement be allowed to continue.
Are you referring to that small ramp that will go over the place where the sewer hookup is?
The 16 square foot
foot,
ramp that's
yeah.
being described.
2 by 8?
Yeah, 16 square foot ramp,
Is that
yes.
something that can be accommodated to make it something that it is removable in the winter?
We can look into that. I think there's a way to probably get there. Sure, we'll look at that.
We approving a 2 by 16, we're not approving the material it's being made out of. Is that a good statement?
Well, you're approving a permanent structure on the beach.
That's what they're requesting, that's correct.
That's what you, yeah.
So the question is, can that be modified so that it's removable? So between now and the next meeting, we'll have to discuss that and see if that's feasible.
Thank you.
If I just might add, if we were to put a wooden ramp in there, something that would be removable, where it would not be categorized as a permanent beach impact. We may be looking for something that would take the curse off the slope and maybe lengthen it a couple of feet or a few feet. I don't know if the commission would be interested in entertaining that option, but we thought if we were going to be placing something that was permanent there, that's what we would go with, is we would attempt to go with an even swap for the altered area. I think if it was a temporary ramp, we might be interested in looking at more convenience and safety for the staff.
With the,
Lower slope.
Yes.
the building is going to be open and used year-round.
It is.
Would there be a need for the ramp during the winter?
Probably not a lot of the winter, but a lot of the year. So my concern about a removable is, one, it's a public space. I don't want vandalism and people playing with a wooden thing, and that's one. Second, in storms, it's something to be having to be tending in storms. The tide there is often against the concrete already. The whatever you're talking about for removable temporary would be in that tidal influence. You'd have to be constantly taking it off and tending it every day.
Constantly, you have to be, aware, as people who keep their boats on the beaches are aware. They pull their boats up when the storm's coming, and I think you would have to do that.
We'll consider, but, good points, bad points. We'll consider looking at an alternative or what you present at the next meeting. Next question.
The last comment would be that there was no discussion of the walkway ramp that will be poised on the top of the bluff, and what that installation will consist of, how much of the bluff has to be removed to install that walkway onto Bayview Park, and what kind of excavation is actually going to be completely taken out of Bayview Park in order to facilitate that walkway. There was no discussion.
I guess I'm confused as to which, there's no walkway that we're proposing to alter. We're bringing the stairs up to the existing walkway.
Right.
So there's nothing being done on the bluff. You're bringing stairs up to where the
Sidewalk
where it is right now.
where the sidewalk is now.
So there's nothing to be altered on the top of the bluff.
No.
There must be
Walkway, is that right?
there must be a stair landing.
Which, let me be clear, let me ask the question, which walkway are we talking about?
Up to Bayview Park.
To where the stairs would meet the walkway.
Right up here?
Yes.
The stairs would meet this walkway?
That, I believe that's in question, yes.
Yeah, those are to be concrete stairs that go up to the top. And I think we show some alteration of the existing brick pavers on the top of that.
Just the pavers, not the soil.
The soil around.
Well, the pavers. You're not going to dig a hole.
No.
And it's my understanding that you're going to reconstruct a portion of that in its same exact footprint that is there now.
That's right. That's right.
So does that answer your question?
Somewhat. There must be some kind of landing at the top of the stairs that will join the existing paved walkway.
Right, the stairs is just going to match into the walkway, I think is what he's trying to say.
That's right.
So there won't be any new landing area. The stairway that will just match into that existing walkway.
Well, which the landscape plan in our plan does show a squared off area.
Right, that's what exists.
No.
No,
That's not
it's grass now.
It's not grass, it's brick pavers that are similar
Right.
to, you have the in throughout onset. But I believe that the arrangement of the pavers currently may have a little bit of a slope in it, but an angle like this, and we were looking to square that.
Square it off.
So there'll be, I think we need a little more clarification on that, because squaring off, now you're doing excavation in Bayview Park. So that's something I'd like to see clarified. And currently it goes brick pavers, then a concrete walkway, and then vegetation. So how you install a landing there without digging into it is very unclear. So I'd like some clarification. But that's all. Thank you
Okay.
very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will make a commitment to visit that site to take a look at that landing area myself.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to speak against this project or any questions on the project? Yes, please come forward and identify yourself.
Yeah,
Frank
it's a small one.
Choli, Onset. I qualify my questions and statements by saying there may not be the right venue here, but let me ask them anyways.
What is the height of the bathhouse as it stands now?
Mr. Madden,
20, this is 25 feet.
As it
This is
stands now.
probably 5 feet.
As it stands now.
Hmm?
Stands now.
Not
As it stands in the design or the current condition?
The current one right now, and then afterwards, the design.
He's talking about the original one that's there now.
I don't remember seeing it.
The top of the stair is 25, so how big is the,
I know that the first floor elevation is elevation 5.5, and we do not have an elevation on our plan as to the actual height of the building.
Okay, and then a second question, the finished height of the reconstruction, without having to go up the X number of feet to get out of the flood
I
zone.
think it's 28 on there, Bill? Is that right?
25?
The top of the main
Second floor, yeah.
elevation, 28.
And Bayview Park is
0.1.
26. Bayview Park is 26.
26, okay. I've been in Onset for a couple of years, and prior to that, used to come down, like a lot of people come down and get something at the pizza place, or bring their own lunch, sit up there on the bluff, walk around up there, enjoy the view of the harbor, the breeze coming in on a hot, muggy day like today, or tomorrow. And I've been up there the last couple of days. And unless you're going into the ground 5 to 6 feet, in my personal opinion, the view up on the bluff or the park, whatever it's called, is gone.
Would you
No,
like-
not all of them,
would
good.
you like to see the proposed view from the bluff area? This is this bottom right here, here's a person standing on the bluff, and that's what it looks like looking over the bluff
people can't
into
sit
the
down
harbor.
on it. This is the problem.
This is what they'll see on the top of the bluff.
I sat up there on a bench. To me, it looked like another 10 feet, my view, sitting
Well-
there would be gone.
Yeah.
Also, the view of
Well,
the island, watching
no,
the
they're
boats
saying-
over the canal.
They definitely had considered that when they did the design of the building, and this is what it will look like from the bluff.
However, Sandy,
There'd still be some area
on,
to say.
to his point, I think he's also talking about
You can,
sitting
into
on...
the microphone, yeah,
I can.
thank you.
I think also he's talking about sitting on the bluff, sitting in the, with family and kids. People are not going to be just standing up to look over, usually now.
Granted.
And I think that his point is that, yes, they took into consideration adults. I don't know how tall they are, but not sitting down having a picnic with your family and looking at and feeling the
Okay.
breeze.
I'm sorry, how many feet did you say it went up?
View is not a wetland.
Second floor is 28 feet.
Does that include if you have to go up for the flood?
That's the total proposed build. With the
No,
exception of...
I think his question means if you don't get the variance for the flood,
And you have to go up.
then that's going to be completely
That
different.
would be completely different.
Yeah, how much
These are
different?
not, these plans do not consider that option. Yeah. So I have nothing
That's-
to
that's-
show.
So how much more, of a 14, or someone mentioned 22 feet?
AE 22. AE 22.
So I don't think they've even generated the information to say how high it would be if they had to comply with the flood zone. They haven't gotten that information at this point.
Okay. No, but I'm just thinking if I wanted to do something in my own personal house, I think I'd probably have to go up a minimum of 14 feet.
Well, you have to go whatever the building code requires, so.
Right, and I know it, and I don't know what it is, but from what I've heard,
And
there's
if
different...
we don't get that variance, they're going to be back here. I don't see it.
Because in my opinion, you might as well pave over the park up there, generate more parking income, or sell it to a developer and put some...
We're off the topic of the conservation, but thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No one else? We have not received the DEP filings, so we must continue with the hearing until
8:15?
8:15. I have a motion to continue the hearing until the 15th.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Coming. I don't think there's anything else on the agenda. I'll take a motion to close.
Close.
I have a motion to close, a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And I have a second, all in favor? Aye. We are adjourned at 8:17, thank you.
South Boulevard.